What's up? Welcome to another episode of the Tina Parker Show. Happy Monday, y'all. Happy Monday. I hope you're having an incredible morning so far. First start of the week. Hope you are going to work out. And if you don't, hopefully you just get back up at it tomorrow. This is kind of what this episode is on, okay? Today's Monday, the week of Thanksgiving. And many people will celebrate in very different ways. Sometimes we will go to multiple homes. Sometimes we have a celebration dinner, one day with one family, especially if you're in blended families, right? And then you might have another holiday meal at another family's. Okay. And if you are just getting into your fitness and your health, and you're working on changing your lifestyle and choosing better habits, this episode is for you because this is what I needed to hear many years ago when I started my fitness journey, my health and lifestyle change journey. And so I just think that many people need to hear this, especially going into this holiday week. I mean, it's the season right now. And so I think many of you ladies need to hear this message. Um, I'll tell you, when I first started my health journey, okay, this was 13 years ago, and it started with me just going to the gym and getting on the elliptical for 45 minutes, and I hated every minute of it. I hadn't really changed my food part though, It was just getting to the gym. So it was like one thing. If I could start one habit, well, then I was doing that consistently. Finally, you guys, I was almost 40 when I started, okay? So if you are ahead of me, I just want to give you props because it took me a long time in my life to finally get my act together. So I just want to tell you congratulations if you're younger than I am and you started on that journey, because the earlier that you can start building muscle in your body, the better. But so I started this, just going to the gym one day a week. Or not one day a week. I'm sorry. I think I was going at least 5 days a week. And I was going for 45 minutes and I hated it. Then I was like, okay, I feel like I need to do something more, And so I decided I would do some research and learn how to build muscle. Okay. And then because I wanted tone arms. So the elliptical wasn't doing that for me. And I was like, oh, how do I get tone arms like that girl? So I started doing research and I figured things out along the way, but it's been 13 years. Yeah, long time. And part of that is learning about what I'm going to share with you today. And I'm also going to tell you that I didn't change my food part for a little bit either. It was when I started doing that research and I started reading up on how to build muscle and then the food that you need to kind of um, incorporate in order to be effective. Okay. So I started changing my food too, but I would get anxiety even before. Let me tell you where I think my anxiety came from the time I was a little girl. Okay. So my dad is a very big truth teller. He says how he sees it. I don't know if you guys have parents like that. I actually appreciate the truth. He was like, he didn't sugarcoat shit. You know what I'm saying? Well, I remember being in elementary. Okay. This is where my shame around food started. I was in elementary and we were at my grandma's house and I went in for a second helping of potatoes. And my dad looked at me and he said, "Do you really think you need another helping of those potatoes?" And I started crying. And my grandma, she's the sweetest lady. She's passed now, but she was actually overweight. I'd never seen her as a thin woman, but she was overweight. And so I just kind of thought it was hereditary, like, and well, my dad's tall and skinny. My sister's tall and skinny, but I was short. And so my weight carried very different. And I just thought I'm going to be like grandma, and it's hereditary. It's in my genes. Well, if that's you, that's a lie, okay? But anyway, that's where I think my fear or shame or guilt around food began because of the truth that my dad told me. So every time Thanksgiving would come around or holidays where there's all this food, I would feel so anxious. I would feel so, I would feel guilt. I would wonder if people are watching me. I would think, okay, I can't eat. I mean, all of these things, and I would get worked up leading into it. So that's why I felt like if I felt this way, I've never shared this, you know, as a show before leading up into the holidays, but I felt like it's important because you could even have children that could be feeling that, okay? And I'm not saying what my dad said to me was wrong, but what it created, I will be real, it created this fear for me around food. I feared food. I didn't want to feel shame and guilt. I didn't want him to say something to me. I didn't want other people to look at me and think things. I mean, if you've ever experienced that, then you feel me, okay? So, but I also didn't exercise either. I was a couch potato. Okay, so it wasn't like I would get right back to a healthy lifestyle right after, He was concerned that I was going to turn out to be way overweight, and I actually did end up, there were times, it was like a roller coaster ride for me. Like all of my life is struggled with food. But I'm finally at a point in my life, hello, 50 years later, that I get it. You know what I'm saying? I figured some things out. So I'm going to share this with you, this episode, okay? I want you to know what is happening with your body, how we sabotage ourselves, how I don't want you quitting on yourself, okay? So today we're going to have a real conversation, not the surface level holiday chatter, not the tips and tricks, not the calorie counting content that gives women more anxiety instead of help, okay? I'm going to talk about it's something deeper. And, I shared a personal story. I mean, I bet you my dad hates to hear that story. I think I've shared that particular story once. And I was just sharing it in a way to explain how my dad was just like real. He just kept it real. Like if he thought something, he said it, you know? And sometimes people really struggle with that. And sometimes people go, if you can handle constructive criticism, then you can do it. But sometimes, some people can't handle that kind of stuff. Like it's too much. But that's just who he is, and he's not going to change, He's maybe gotten a little softer with his delivery at this point in his age. But so today we're going to talk about what quietly is hurting millions. Really, it's not just you, it's millions of women. And it happens all through this week, and then it will happen again through, Christmas. Okay? That your fear of food, your anxiety around the holiday meal, your belief that one celebration will undo your entire healthy lifestyle. And I'm telling you right now, it's not going to be that Thanksgiving dinner that sabotages you. It's the fear, the stress, the guilt, and shame that is attached to it. So let's dive into this. So what's really happening? So some of you already are stressed out. You know Thanksgiving's coming, and you might go into it thinking about the calories, the desserts. These are all the temptations, right? The calories, the desserts, the carbs, the rolls, the stuffing, the pie. I went to just to give you an example, I was invited to go to my daughter's dad and his wife's home. Okay. So it was her dad, he's been remarried, but we're all friends. So it was really fun. So I went there, and I don't eat like that every day. I do have I live a healthy lifestyle. But I could have, the old me would have been like, Oh my gosh, I'm just going to eat the turkey and the salad. Okay, but then I get there and I see all of the sides. I see the, you know, crackers and brie, is it brie cheese? Oh my gosh. And Chelsea's dad is an incredible cook. Like, he's been in the restaurant business since even when we were in high school. He worked at JB's restaurant. And then he worked out in casinos in Nevada and, is food and beverage manager, director. And so he just is an incredible cook. And it's really, I mean, you want to try everything. You know what I'm saying? Well, I did, and this is what I want to say with you is that when we hold ourselves back or we fear these things, the rolls, the stuffing, the pie, the calories, the carbs, all of those things, this is what happens. We're already planning how you'll only eat the meat and salad, right? But you're already negotiating with yourself, okay? And then what happens? You walk into the holiday, you see the mashed potatoes, you see the stuffing, you see the sides, you see, how about anybody love some sweet potatoes? Oh my gosh, my daughter and I both make every year. She does it when she goes to her dad's because her dad loves it actually. And I always do it when I had Thanksgiving in my own home, but I'll also take it as a side dish. But it's this copycat Ruth Chris's, the restaurant, their sweet potatoes, and it's incredible. So going up into Thanksgiving, if you want to make it for yourself, let me know and I'll get you the recipe. But the point is that you might want to have some of that, right? So you feel that, and then you smell everything and the bread, and then suddenly, right, the rolls. Chelsea made, cornbread, and I'm not a cornbread girl. I really don't love cornbread, but she made it a little different. She actually did the cornbread, but then she also added this gluten-free vanilla cake. Isn't that interesting? With it, and so it turned out very different. They were actually really good. I had one. Um, and so, but you might suddenly get anxious when you start seeing all these things, but you've already told yourself that you're only going to have the meat or the salad. You know what I'm saying? But then you see all these things and you start to get anxious. Then you get these thoughts. Okay, you start getting frustrated. Man, I just hate this lifestyle. Like, everybody's enjoying themselves, and here I am with this little, turkey and salad, right? So you begin to resent, and you begin to self-sabotage, and you begin your cortisol, that anxiety and that stress and that frustration. All of a sudden your cortisol steps in because it's a protective situation, so it wants to protect you. And that cortisol, when it does that, I mean, cortisol is good when we initially use it in the mornings, right, to go work out. But later, I mean, we want to tame the cortisol because that's what's holding on to your belly fat. Okay? That's why you want to minimize the cortisol, except for in the morning. God made us this way, you guys. He made it so that we can use cortisol when we need it, but it's not supposed to be on all the time. Okay? So you begin to resent this healthy lifestyle. You hear that internal voice saying, why can't I just enjoy the food like a normal person? You start to self-sabotage. Then you're like, you know what? I'm F this. I'm not doing this lifestyle anymore. And you make overboard, right? Okay, that's when the shame cycle starts. But here's what you need to understand. It is not the food that's the issue. It's the anxiety you're attaching to it. Okay? So here's what anxiety does to your body. When you start fearing food, here's what actually happens inside your body. Your cortisol spikes, your nervous system tightens, your cravings increase, your self-trust collapse. Because now, if you give up, if you just say, I'm throwing in the towel, okay? Now you begin to not trust yourself. It's going to tick and hit at your confidence, okay? and the trust that you have in believing that you can do hard things. Okay, your body goes into survival mode. Your body reads your thoughts as danger. So now you're walking into Thanksgiving like you're walking into the battlefield, right? Okay, I've got my armor. I've got, I mean, you really are like trying to like, the food are the enemies, right? And the people that get to eat all the food are the enemies. And then you're just in a corner hating life. You're not even enjoying the people, the company, the connections, just living life. Okay? You're not enjoying the moment. You're not being present with your family. You're not relaxing. You're bracing for impact. Okay? And this instead, this turns into panic. It's internal panic, okay? And is what sabotages women. It's not the holiday meal, guys. It's not the holiday meal. This is why women quit their health journey, because they believe they can't enjoy life and being healthy. But here's the truth. You really can. Okay? I've done it. I've done it. I will tell you that there are times when I've done a challenge before. If you've heard of 75 hard, I've done that. And during those 75 days, if I would have done 75 hard during Thanksgiving, then I would have had to, because it's one of those things where it's a mindset. You're building your strong mindset. You're reading 10 pages a day. You're taking, doing the cold, shower. You are doing, you're learning something new. You're sticking to your food plan. You're drinking a gallon of water. There's all these things that go along with 75 hard, okay? Working out every day, twice a day. One has to be outside. I did it it was the fourth time of doing that I finally made it through. But I will tell you, there were times that I went out, no alcohol, that I went out with my husband and his friends, and I'm having water while them enjoyed a cocktail or two, and they enjoyed all the food. And I went, and I was proud of myself for sticking to it, because after the day I was feeling like, what, I put myself in a situation where I could have given in, but I didn't. And it increases your confidence, to be honest. But we're talking about what hurts. I'm not talking about doing a challenge right now. I'm talking about you started a healthy lifestyle. It's a lifestyle. It's not a 90-day, I'm going to be this in 90 days. Okay. This is really, I'm talking about a lifestyle change. Okay. That's what I believe you need to have as a lifestyle change. That doesn't mean you never get to enjoy Thanksgiving and be present with your family. Okay. And have the pie, or go to a birthday party and enjoy a piece of cake, or go, or Christmas Day. I mean, you get to enjoy those things. Okay. It's that meal that day. Now, if you did that every day, yeah, you're sabotaging yourself. Okay. Because that's not a lifestyle. Okay. You're consuming too much sugar. You're consuming too many carbs. It doesn't align with the lifestyle. But once in a while, okay, you can enjoy those things. All right. It's a lifestyle. So, this is the truth. This is what most people need to hear, especially women, okay? Your body doesn't break because of Thanksgiving. Your metabolism doesn't fall apart because of one dinner. Your progress doesn't disappear because of stuffing and pie. Your body breaks when anxiety becomes the dominant voice in your decisions. Your progress disappears, then shame becomes louder than self-trust. Your lifestyle collapses when fear replaces freedom. You don't need more restriction. You need more peace and confidence around food, knowing that you can make smart choices. Like I tried it all, but doesn't mean you need to fill up your plate all the way massively with potatoes and stuffing and everything. Like think of like the tablespoon, okay? It's like a small little blob on there. And maybe you're a guy and you want to have more, whatever. I'm just saying this is what I do. I try it all. Okay. But I'm just trying little bits of it all. Okay. That's how I see as moderation. I did have a little bit more than one blob of the sweet potato pie, sweet potatoes, because that's my favorite thing. But I don't do that every day. I don't do it every 3 months. I don't do it, every 6 months. Like I'm enjoying that for Thanksgiving. Okay. And then maybe there's some Christmas favorite things that you have during that day. Or you go to a birthday party and you have a piece of cake. You guys, it's that one, but this lifestyle is really just most of the time, let's say 85 to 90% of the time, you are all dialed in. But you leave wiggle room for when these things come up and you enjoy yourself. Okay. It's not going to kill you. Okay. You could die tomorrow. And are you going to be so sad if you die tomorrow that you didn't enjoy, that you were so tough with yourself, that you didn't give in? No, you're going to be like, I should have had the freaking pie. Right? So you need the ability to enjoy a celebration and then simply return to your routine the next day. Okay? That is called self-trust. That's called regulation. And that's called identity. Okay? And when women need, and women need this more than they need another, like, diet. Like, I'm on a diet. No, it's a lifestyle, okay? And almost 100% of the time, I'm perfect. And there's going to be a little bit of wiggle room for when I have maybe a little processed food, maybe sweet potatoes, you know? Guys, if this episode is hitting something in you, if you needed to hear this, I bet there's another woman that needs to hear this. Make sure you share this with her, and so that she can just release that stress and anxiety and guilt and shame around it leading into the week, okay? And so she can step into that party, the event, being present and enjoying her company, enjoying herself, enjoying life, okay? As women, especially as women rising into their feminine leadership, you cannot live your life in fear of food. You just can't. You cannot let a holiday determine your self-worth. That was a big thing for me, as I mentioned in the beginning of this. You cannot let anxiety run your decisions around your body, your health, your identity, because your relationship with food is really a relationship with self-trust. And self-trust is the foundation of feminine leadership. A regulated woman enjoys life, enjoys family, enjoys celebrations, enjoys food without collapsing into guilt. A confident woman understands one meal doesn't define you. Your identity does. And here's the thing. I even had my daughter's stepmom. She made these, holiday drinks. It was just a little tiny, like, champagne type glass. And she did this cute little thing with the little berries and the little mint, or the little stem. What is that? Rosemary or something. And then she had a stick of frozen watermelon, and maybe it was frozen something. I don't know what it was. But then she poured just a splash of champagne on there. I had that too. I didn't have 4. I had 1. That's how I see this lifestyle, is you don't need to overdo things, but you can enjoy it. You can have a little bit of it. Okay? Then you don't feel like, I hate this. I can't ever have anything. Guys, when I would go out to dinner with my husband, when we were together, I would always still order dessert. I would say, how about you get this dessert and I'll get this dessert. And then I'll have a bite of yours and I'll have a bite. I just wanted to taste it. Okay? Just taste it so you can get that. It takes care of the edge. It just takes care of feeling like I still get to try things. I still get to have this a part of my life. I just don't need to overdo it, right? And what I found is that just having a tiny bit satisfied my need for it. Does that make sense? And then I'm not living my life like feeling like I can't live life with everyone. So here's a simple feminine leader approach for you ladies, okay, as you go into this week and holiday eating, okay? Enjoy the food, enjoy the moment, enjoy your family, okay? And then return to your routine the next day. That's how you do it. No shame, no guilt, no overthinking, no punishment workouts. There are some times I would I will be real. I would if I ate more carbs, I'd put those carbs to work. I would do a little extra the next day because carbs do give you some energy and might as well use them, right? No spiraling, no I ruined everything, no identity collapse. You are stronger than that, okay? You are wiser than that. So you don't just sabotage your whole lifestyle and think and put in your brain that you're quitting. No, I'll start back up tomorrow. One bad meal, no, I'll just my next meal will be on point, you know? You are becoming a woman who trusts herself. Okay, so if this hit you, you know, if it's something clicked in your spirit, if you realize anxiety has been running your health journey, follow me because I teach women how to ignite their confidence, their peace, and identity through faith and feminine leadership. Okay, you don't have to fear food. You don't have to fear the holidays. You don't have to fear your body. You just need self-trust. Okay, and that's what I'm here to help you rebuild. Follow me on Instagram and Facebook at The Real Tina Parker. Join the Women of Action Academy if you want to surround yourself with women that have this kind of mindset and live this way. Okay, I'm here for you. If you have anything separate that you'd like to talk about, let me know. I appreciate you for joining. Have a great day, guys.